my last video, I talked about making the transition between taking photos with your phone and taking photos with a camera, and how easy it is to take photos with your phone, and that's why we do it so much. And in this video, I'll illustrate some of the differences and some of the limitations you have when you're taking photos with your phone compared to taking photos with a camera. I'll show you the differences in composing with your phone or your camera and in using different types of lenses on your camera. I'll also talk about the differences exposure control can make, and of course, the quality differences that you'll experience. First, I'm going to take a look at these sweet potatoes that we've got growing here. The light on them looks really nice. So I'm going to do a quick couple of photos, one with my phone and one with my camera. Okay, so now I'll do the same sort of photo from the same angle with my camera, but on my camera I've got my 105mm macro lens on. Two of the most significant differences between using a phone and a camera is the sensors in cameras are much larger and there are more lens options with a camera. A large sensor means higher quality images and also a shallow depth of field. That means you'll get a blurred background when you want it much more easily with your camera than with your phone. You can see that all the leaves are in focus with the phone photo, but not on the one I took with my camera. That was a good start. Let's see what else we can find. I'm kind of keen to get some photos of my bamboo. It's maybe a little bit too wide from here, but let's see. The vertical's quite nice. With my 105mm on my camera still, I'm just playing with the exposure a little bit here. I set my camera's exposure so the shadow areas appear very dark. This is something you can easily do with a camera, but not so effectively with your phone. With the phone, I was also limited to taking a wide composition rather than being able to come in close as I have with my camera. I'll take one or two nice close-up photos of this rosebud just because I've got my 105 on. But then I'll come back a little bit further because I like the light on the rose, I like the light on the leaves behind it, and I've got a nice dark background. And see if I can get a similar composition. It's not going to be the same because the lens on the phone is so much wider than the 105. You can see with this photo taken on my phone, the contrast looks flat, even though the light is hard. On the photo taken with my camera, I set it to make more of the contrast. When I zoom in, you can see there is no visible detail on the brightest side of the rose in the phone photo, but the detail on the rose petal is visible in the photo taken with my camera. This is because I have more control over my camera's exposure and because the sensor in my camera is much better quality than the one on my phone. I love coming to check out our garden in the morning. It's always really beautiful and peaceful. The light's just lovely, so let's just see what else we can find to take a few photos of down here. I didn't want to concentrate too much on close-ups in the garden. It's really easy to though, so let's take another look at some flowers here and get the macro lens back on the camera. I've also taken some here with my 35mm lens to give a comparison with a wider lens on my DSLR. I took both of these photos from about the same distance. The lens on my phone is wider than the one that was on my camera, so again there's more of the background in the composition. More of the background is also in focus, which means it distracts from the main subject. The colour and contrast don't have as much life in the phone photo either. We've got a cherry close by. I'd like to include that in one of the photos. You can see it in the distance there. Let's see if I can find a good angle looking through these trees and through the orchids growing on the trees. That looks quite nice there. Glancing at the two photos of the view, there doesn't appear to be much difference. The compositions are very similar, as is the exposure and contrast level. But when I zoom in, you can notice the loss of detail in the phone photo, especially in the forest areas. The colours also look dull on the phone photo. I'll capture a few images here with my phone and with my 35mm lens lens on my DSLR because we've got a nice amount of contrast between the area that's in the shade and then the area that's in the background that's in the full sun. So it'll be good to compare the two of those between what I can capture with my camera and what I can capture with my phone. In this last photo, you can see that I exposed them both so the cabbages are about the same exposure level. They look similar in both photos. But when you look at the areas already receiving the morning sun, you can clearly see a quality difference. The bright areas are washed out in the phone photo, but in the photo with my camera, there's still colour visible in the sky, even though it's the brightest part of the image. And when I zoom in, you can clearly see the quality difference where the shrubs have the sky behind them. The power lines are not visible in the phone photo. The roof of the house in the phone photo is almost completely washed out, but has good detail in the photo I made with my camera. I use my phone and my camera to take photos for different reasons. Mostly with my phone, I use it to document things, like when I've planted seeds so I can remember what I've planted and when I've planted them. And I use my camera when I want to make more creative style images or do more complex things that my phone can't do. There is some crossover between my phone photography and my camera photography, but I do prefer most of the time using my camera because it gives me so many more options to be creative, and it always gives me a higher quality image than my phone ever will. So think about it. The next time you want to take some photos, do you want to use your phone or do you want to pick up your camera and take a little bit more time and get a higher quality, more creative image and a more enjoyable experience than you're going to get if you just keep using your phone to take photos with? And if you do experiment with this, I'd love to know how you're getting on. Do you enjoy using your phone more because it's easy? Or are you more interested in getting higher quality images and taking the time to learn to use your camera well? Let me know in the comments below how you're getting on.